This is a Supermarine Spitfire, and it's a little bit like Winston Churchill, because for the British people it is a national hero.
Never in the field of human conflict has so much been owed by so many to so few.
Anyway, in this video I'm going to review it, and to do that I'm going to talk you around the exterior, the interior. I'm going to test out some of its technology. I'm going to see how practical it is. I'm even going to take it for a fly, and I will actually fly it for a bit. And of course I'm going to launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 and over the standing quarter mile, because I'm Matt Watson and this is carwow. Though today it's very much plain wow.
Buying a new car? Then head to carwow and my team will help you find your next car at a fair price. Carwow, your one-stop car buying comparison site.
Let's start this video by talking about the design of the Supermarine Spitfire. So this is a Mark 9, and in total there was actually 24 different marks throughout the years, but they were all rather similar, and it's such a beautiful thing. It's quite funny though when you get up close to it and you look at some of the panel gaps and how it's all joined together. You can tell this was just like completely built at speed and to not be flown for all that long. The average lifespan of a pilot who flew one of these in like the Battle of Britain, you're looking at like 4 weeks. That's it. Now this plane actually has been flying for a long time. It's had something like 3,000 hours in the air, and that's probably as long as any Spitfire. Anyway, let me talk you around it. So these are the control surfaces. So this is your rudder, obviously. This is the elevator there. This is made out of fabric, and sometimes this is made out of fabric, the covering on it, but the rest of it is sheet aluminium over the bodywork, and it has an aluminium frame. This one has what's known as the identification stripes. Some people call these invasion stripes because they're first introduced on D-Day so that the Allied pilots didn't shoot each other down moving down the side. Key thing about this plane is that it's the two-seater. So obviously a normal combat Spitfire would be a single-seater, and the cockpit would be about 13 inches further back. But what they've done with this one is created this separate little cockpit in there for a co-pilot or passenger, and you have dual controls in there, but as a result they had to move the main pilot's cockpit forward, and that means that you've got a smaller fuel tank, because normally the fuel tank would be in the front of the plane there, a 90-gallon fuel tank, which is about 400 litres. Now there's a smaller fuel tank in the front, and you have fuel tanks in the wings, because what they've done is got rid of the guns on the two-seater planes. Now, one of the classic design features of the Spitfire is, of course, its beautiful elliptical wing design. Now this helps it slip through the air, it reduces drag, makes it as fast as possible, and it's just so iconic, the design of this plane's wing. It's absolutely beautiful. It's 11 meters across the wingspan. The length of the plane's just under 10 meters. And as you can see here, look, these are the gun ports. So they basically had one design of wing for this plane. They could do different things with the gun ports. So you could have 4 machine guns, 4 303 Browning 303 machine guns, which are this size here. But if you look here, you can see some other ports there where you could have a 20mm cannon and a 50 caliber machine gun as well. And you couldn't have them all together. You could either have this setup or 4 machine guns. Obviously this has no weapons on it. Now moving down underneath, you can see these big radiators there. One is for the intercooler, for the supercharger of the engine. Another one is for the normal radiator for the cooling of the engine itself. This is the air intake there. So that just obviously scoops a load of air in, puts it into the supercharger, and then it powers the engine. And you've got this huge propeller here. So that's 3 meters in diameter. Absolutely massive. And of course around the side you can see the exhaust pipes there as well. You've got 6 exhaust pipes per side, so it's a V12, obviously 1 per cylinder. And there's no petrol particulate filters here, there's no soft limiters, and there's no exhaust mufflers. So you can really hear this Merlin engine. It's amazing. Oh, and there's this I want to show you. Look, see that? That is a little camera. So when the pilot presses the button for the machine gun, as well as firing the guns, it fires a little camera there. So you've got a little cine camera, and so they can actually record whether the pilot actually shot down an enemy plane. Because what would happen is a big combat, loads of things going on, and you might have 2 or 3 pilots shooting at the same enemy plane, and they never knew who actually shot what plane down. So you could have 2 pilots claiming the kills, and you think there's been 2 kills, whereas actually there's only been 1 kill, and so they'd use that to find out. And this plane was actually used in combat. So it was produced in 1943 in Castle Bromwich in the Midlands, which is near where I'm from. Firstly in 1944, and in September 1944 it shot down a Messerschmitt ME-109 over Arnhem in the Netherlands. It was flown by a Canadian pilot because it was part of the Royal Canadian Air Force 441 Squadron, and that's what its colour scheme signifies. Wow. What an absolutely majestic aircraft. Now let's check out the inside of the Spitfire. So just lower the little door there. This is where you find out just how unsupple I am. Climb up the wing. Then just hoik yourself in. And there's actually a surprising amount of room. Woohoo! Here in the Spitfire's cockpit, there's quite a lot going on. So the main thing is your control column. So as you pull this towards you, that causes the plane to go up because it lifts the elevator. Nose up, push away from you, elevator goes down, nose down. You move it to the left, ailerons go like that, roll to the left, and then the other way to go to the right. Then there's this key button here. So this is for firing the guns. So push the top part like that, that's your 303 machine gun. Push the bottom part, that's your 20mm cannon. Press them both together, you get the whole lot. Another thing to note is your throttle there, you've got your controls for your landing gear, and then of course down by your feet you've got your pedals which control your rudder. Now all the control surfaces in this plane are just linked with simple cables. There's no hydraulics on the control surfaces, which is a bit crazy really. Then there's all these gauges and dials. It's very old fashioned in here, but it gives you all the key information you need. Your airspeed, your altitude, your horizon, your heading, your compass, your engine RPM, your boost pressure for your supercharger, all that you need to know. Now to start it, you just flick that switch there and it fires the magnetos, but beforehand you probably use this button here to get some extra fuel in the engine because that's your choke. I won't be touching that though. You can see there's plenty of room in here. But if you're a little bit of a short arse like me, you might need to lift up your seat to have a good look out over that big nose. This particular plane's got parachute just attached behind you, so you strap yourself into that just in case you need to bail out, which I hope we're not going to need to do today. Now let's talk about practicality, because as World War II fighters go, this is quite a practical airplane because you can fit a second person in here, and this is where I'll be sitting, and the controls I'll be using to fly it because you have tandem controls. Now actually in World War II there were no two-seaters. The first prototype was built in 1946 and this very plane was converted by Vickers in 1950 as a trainer. There seems like a decent amount of room in there, but actually for larger people today a few might find it a bit of a squeeze. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about the Supermarine Spitfire. In the Battle of Britain, early Spitfires had to make do with 8 Browning 303 machine guns. Now that might sound like a lot of firepower, but not when you compare it to the fact that its main enemy, the Messerschmitt ME-109, had 2 cannon on its nose, and cannon is way more powerful because it has exploding rounds, so you only have to hit a plane a few times with a cannon shell and it can cause a lot of damage, whereas the RAF worked out that they had to fire around 4,500 rounds of normal machine gun ammunition at an enemy plane to bring it down, and each Spitfire could only carry 2,800 rounds. Later planes did get cannon, which were much more powerful. You see this little wheelie here? It prevents the tail from dragging along the ground. Problem is it doesn't retract at all, so it creates drag when you're flying. In fact, when you're doing just 70 miles an hour, it creates 2 pounds worth of drag, which isn't ideal. These exhausts sometimes spit flames, which looks really cool. Though it's less cool when you're trying to land this thing at night and it suddenly spits flames and you get night blindness and you can't see where you're going and then you crash. You see this drip tray? You need one of these if you own a Spitfire, because the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine may be very powerful and sound amazing, but the tolerances aren't that tight on it, so it absolutely pisses oil everywhere. This one is actually fitted with a Packard Merlin engine, so it's built in the USA, and the tolerances are better, but it still leaks quite a lot of oil. The Merlin engines in early Spitfires had a bit of a design problem. You see, they used a simple carburetor, which meant that when they went into a dive, the negative G would cause the float in the carburetor to open up, let loads and loads of fuel into it and flood the engine. Now the Messerschmitt ME-109 didn't have this problem. It had fuel injection, so when the Spitfire's engine cut out, be able to catch up with it and shoot it down. It's probably what happened to this particular engine. That's why it's all damaged. However, later on, the engines were fitted with a little device called Tilly-Schilling's orifice, and it was just like a little washer that went into the carburetor and would reduce the amount of fuel that would go into the engine when you were diving. Thankfully, it's not all bad. Here's 5 cool things about this aeroplane. Together with a Hawker Hurricane, the Supermarine Spitfire helped us win the Battle of Britain. I say us, I had nothing to do with it. So the Spitfires would go up against the Messerschmitt 109s, while the Hawker Hurricanes could be left free to shoot down the German bombers. The Spitfire's turning circle without losing height is 212 metres, whereas the Messerschmitt ME-109's is 270 metres. The Spitfire is a very versatile airplane. It can be used obviously from fighter to reconnaissance and as a trainer. The Spitfire is actually derived from a Schneider Trophy winning seaplane. It was actually used for racing and it uses some high-tech construction. It's actually aluminium monocoque, which is pretty ahead of its time for its day. the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine is perhaps the best sounding internal combustion engine ever produced. It sounds like victory. Here we have the thing that powers the Supermarine Spitfire. It is the wonderful 27-litre V12 Merlin engine with a dual stage supercharger here on the front, which can provide up to 18 psi of boost pressure, which enables this engine to pump out an incredible 1700 horsepower. It's a thing of beauty. There we are then. I'm sat in the Spitfire and we're about to start the engine. Here we go. Oh, it stinks. This is a boyhood dream come true. Can't believe this is actually happening.
The departing Cherokee line up point behind, Hotel 139 Kilo.
Here we go then, we are going to taxi out. Oh wow, this is insane. From 1 week reviewing a Skoda, the next week a Bugatti Chiron, and now a Supermarine Spitfire. It's totally normal, it's normal. I think this is the oldest thing I've reviewed. And I'm having to keep my feet away from the pedals because this has dual controls, because I could accidentally control it into those bushes there, which would be very expensive for me. Okay, you're going to start this flight by seeing how quick this Spitfire is from 0 to 60 miles an hour and over the standing quarter mile. And I've got my specialist timing gear here and I'm going to measure it. So let's do it, Barry, let's do it. Here we go, 0 to 60. Interesting with this plane, takes about 380 metres to get airborne, so we'll do the quarter mile. Here's 60 miles an hour, can be up there. 11.56 seconds. Right, what's the quarter mile? Oh, it's already getting pretty light. Quarter mile in 18 seconds. There we go. And now we are airborne in the Spitfire. I've actually got a rig for viewing here. Great visibility to get from this canopy. We've got 400 litres of fuel on board, which that'll give you about an hour's flight. You did about 230 miles on that. And I can see our chase plane there, we're flying in formation. Wow, that's amazing. It's so smooth. I can't believe how smooth this plane is. The ride quality is exceptional. It's like a Rolls Royce. You can't even tell that you're flying almost. Obviously, when it's winter time, you get less turbulence, and in the summer it can be a lot bumpier. But here, today, it's completely still. It just feels so gentle and stable. Oh yeah! We're flying along at around 150 miles an hour. This thing will actually cruise around 220, but top speed is over 400 miles an hour.
Just going over Brands Hatch.
Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see Brands Hatch circuit just down there. We're going to do a manoeuvre now. We're going to roll to the left. Here we go.
Oh! Oh my God! Oh my God!
The way that just suddenly just dropped and turned, that was intense. Made my stomach go a little bit. Oh! Whoa! I can feel some G there. It feels really responsive. It goes from one moment being super smooth and just stable to just changing direction really quickly. You can see how this was really agile and it can beat the Messerschmitt in tight turns and for manoeuvrability. That's where it had the advantage over the German opposition.
Okay, Matt, would you like to have a go at flying the aircraft? Would I like to have a go at flying it? I think so, yeah. Okay, you have control? I have control. So if you'd like to turn the aircraft to the right. Watch your nose attitude. Look at the door. You see my hand? I can see you. You are flying the Spitfire. Got his hands in the air. Oh my God. Oh God, I'm flying the Spitfire. I'm going to turn back the other way. Okay, so roll back, reverse the turn. I'm actually flying a Spitfire. Oh my God. This is the best thing ever. Apart from the birth of my daughter, this is the best thing ever. Okay, great. Roll wings level.
Oh, this is so good. It's lovely.
Okay, if I have control, you have control. Okay, so it'd be rude not to go upside down in the Spitfire, wouldn't it?
I should be giving you facts about this Spitfire, but I can't. I'm too busy just enjoying it. Sorry, I hope you can just enjoy it through me though.
Okay, you ready to go upside down? Ah, yes, let's go upside down.
There's no air much or any safety in here. The only bug I've got is a sick bug down there. I'm not going to need it.
Here we go. Woo! Woo! Oh, shit!
Oh my God! If you want to do this, right, www.flyspitfire.com. Go check it out, links in the description. You can do this! You can do this as well! Oh, it's amazing this. Oh, here we go. Oh, whoa! Oh, crap! Whoa! Oh! I can't believe how smooth it is. What a piece of engineering.
1944. Doesn't feel like something that was built in 1944. Okay, would you like another go at flying the aircraft? Yeah. Okay, alright, so what I'm going to get you to do is fly the aircraft straight and level. I'll get you to make a couple of turns so we can fly, or you can fly the aircraft back towards Biggin Hill, alright? Okay, I have no idea where that is. Okay, you have control. I have control. Okay, so if you like to turn the aircraft to the right.
I'm flying again.
Okay, back to straight and level there. Just lower the nose very slightly. I'm going to watch it.
There we go, level. Really hard, you have to touch the controls, it's so responsive.
Okay, turn the aircraft to the left.
You have to put a little bit more input in for turning than you do for pitch.
Alright, straight ahead there.
Just call me Douglas Bader.
Okay, Matt, if I have control, you have control. So can you see Biggin Hill just coming underneath us now?
Woo, here we go, we're coming into land now. I can see the runway there. Here we are, getting lower, just about to touch down now. Alright, here we are. Oh my God. That was incredible. Flying a Supermarine Spitfire, completed it, mate. So then, what's my final verdict on the Supermarine Spitfire? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon if you're the British Air Ministry in the mid-1930s, you should go right ahead and buy the Supermarine Spitfire, because you might find that in just a few years, it could come in rather handy. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know some other videos you'd like to see in the comments below. Click on those windows there to watch some more videos, and on that box there to go to carwow, and we'll help you sell your car and get a fair price for it. Thanks for watching.
How was that, Matt?
That was amazing. Thank you very much, Barry.
Pleasure.
I loved it. I wasn't sick.